Hello, Mr.
Well,
DeLonge.
hello. Hi.
My name is Roche from DC101, and I'm hearing this is your first Instagram Live. So I'm gonna be gentle with you as I take your IG Live virginity.
Well, you can stream on your own, but this is pretty fun.
Okay, yeah, just rather than talking just to the camera and being very disconnected, you can have a conversation. Makes it a little easier.
Yeah, this is great. I love it.
Where are
Yeah.
you, sir? You look like you're out and
Um,
about. I love that.
I'm on my deck. I have kind of a view, so it looks like I'm in the sky, but I'm not. I'm just at my house in my backyard. Yeah.
I like that you said kind of a view as you show us sprawling land all behind you. It's a gorgeous view, my friend.
Well, you got the ocean right there. That's the ocean. You can kind of see it.
Yep.
And then this way you have lots of trees and mountains. So it's kind of a spectacular place. I'm actually just renting this place for the time being. And I asked the guy, I was like, will you sell it to me? He's like, no. And then like 6 months later, will you sell it to me? And he goes, no. And then I asked him a third time and then I just gave up.
After three times, he's probably a little set in his ways. He's not giving it up.
Yeah.
And why would he? Look at
Yeah.
the view, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it's San Diego. So we got golden weather all the time. So that's cool. And this whole COVID thing,
Yep.
it's really nice to have. I'm really fortunate to have a area where I could sit and just kind of look out because a lot of people don't have that. So I'm very grateful for it.
We've said that a number of times on DC 101. If you're like in a high-rise condo in the middle of a city with maybe not even a balcony view, it's really, really difficult not being able to get out. It's very cage-like at that point.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I'm a nature guy, so I wouldn't do well with that at all. But honestly, I wouldn't put myself in that position to begin with. Like living in a city and stuff is not, I don't, even without the pandemic, I just wouldn't be able to pull it off.
It's funny that that's the first thing we're talking about because that was one of the things that I wanted to touch base with you about. You're a guy who is a free spirit, got a bit of a wanderlust about you. This is a difficult situation. Even with you have a place where you can get outside and get some fresh air. It's got to be difficult for somebody like you who wants to be always out and about and moving.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm kind of, always into getting in some kind of mischief. It's weird to not be able to do the normal things. Like for me, at least, in the bare minimum, I'm like walk on the beach every day,
Yeah.
and not being able to do little things like that. But that's when I put in my earphones and I'm doing some type of like paranormal research or something. I just go lost in my head and that kind of thing. A lot of times I'll go on these walks and I'll call my partners at Tita Stars Academy, all these guys from the CIA and the DOD, and I'm just like, okay, what about this? Or what about this? Or does this work? And I have a new one.
All right.
A new one as of last night.
Let's hear it.
Well, there's, I can't get into too much detail with it, but there's a certain field when you're dealing with electromagnets that you might be able to amplify that would cancel out percentages of gravity. You probably need nuclear power to amplify it strong enough to cancel out all of your mass. So this is a new thing. So I got to call up my partner, Dr. Pudoff, which was the head physicist on the UFO program at the Pentagon. And he figured out how the craft fly within general relativity. So that was part of what his job was at Department of Defense. And a lot of the stuff he dealt with is classified, but I think I'm on to something here. So I'm going to see, but this is how it works. So when you throw this at these guys, and if you're touching on classified stuff, the way they deny it, because they're not actors, they're engineers and scientists and spies, and spies are good. They're trained to lie, but the physicists aren't. So you can usually tell, like when you're onto something, because they try to act like, no, I don't know what that is. But you're like, you're not a good actor, So that's going to be my my calls later on this afternoon from the same chair.
But once you get that little tell that maybe you're onto something, that has to spur you to go, okay, now I got to really prove it because I'm onto something. I'm on the right path. I got to keep going.
Oh my God. You have no idea how many of those have happened to me. So many meetings and briefings and stuff I've been in where I'll throw something out and all I'm doing is throwing it out there and I'm waiting to read how they act when I do that. And I've gotten so good at it that it's pretty obvious when I touch on something that completely ruffles their feathers, because they're not allowed to wink or nod or even hint that maybe you're on the right track. That's illegal, you know?
Yeah.
So if you throw it out at the right minute and they're not expecting it, it takes them a second. It's like a misfire in the
Yep.
brain. Like they
And
don't
then
know how to
you're
answer.
like, I got to get out of here. I got to do some work.
Knew I was right. Knew I was right. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because the kind of the meme that's going around on social media is that when the bubonic plague hit, Newton came up with calculus while he was social distancing. I'm thinking to
Wow.
myself, what's Tom DeLonge going to come out with while he's social distancing?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, there's been a lot of things. So at my company, To the Stars, we're right now trying to pivot a lot of the technologies and things we're doing towards the pandemic. We have, for example, we have an artificial intelligence system that we built that tracks advanced aerial technologies. It's super cutting edge. We built it in partnership with Amazon's R&D AI Center, and it basically ingests like huge amounts of data. It could be like everything from ancient texts, biblical texts, Dead Sea Scrolls, with weather and Homeland Security, CIA documents, databases that exists from NORAD and other things that are tracking fast-moving objects. YouTube, Google, it can tell if people are lying. It can tell if the images have been tampered with. So it does all these things. And then we kind of were realizing, wow, there might be a potential here to change up those data inputs to be things dealing with, you know, personalized health medicines and vaccines, genomics, and all that different stuff. So during, you know, where I'm at home and I'm sitting here dreaming up how can we be best, you know, best serve what's going on. And that's been really inspiring and really fun. And so we have quite a few things that we're doing now for that. But if you're wondering the more like cooler, crazier stuff that I'm sitting here concocting,
Okay.
that gets a little bit more exciting because we get things. I have access into so many different types of people and governments and what they're doing with the whole unidentified aerial phenomena subject, because they all have their own programs. And so we get these trickles that come to our company, and it all trickles up to the top, which is where I sit. And I just all day, every day, it's like something new, like crazy. Dealing with like, you know, so many events and purported crashes and exotic materials and people's experiences and encounters, and then what, you know, how we follow up on that and how we get the certain people, if they're military or government, we'll get them involved with our show on the History Channel, or we'll bring their stuff in for more sensitive conversations, you know. So I'm kind of, you know, I live in a really fun world because I'm dealing with film, I'm dealing with music, and I'm dealing with, like, you know, national security issues with UFOs and stuff. So I'm just sitting here looking around. So much fun, you know.
And I'm so glad you said fun, because I would think that a lot of people kind of read about your interest in paranormal and go, all right, but like if you're getting enjoyment from it and if you're having fun doing it. Oh, he can't hear me. Can't hear me? He's lying. You are lying. Oh, his connection went out. There he is. Are you back?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh,
How you
speaking of
doing?
paranormal, did you hear this? I can hear you, but you're all digitalized. Digitized. Take us inside, Tom. I can't hear you. There you go.
Okay,
Are you
so
back?
my Bluetooth was on, and I have my kiddo was playing the synthesizer in there, and it plugged my phone into his stereo. So that wasn't my fault. But anyways, okay.
Did you just blame the kids? Did you just blame the kids?
The kids are just fucking everything up. Like, they really got to get their act together if they want to make it in this world, you know? That's what I'm saying.
So what I was saying was, you are. It's fun for you to explore the paranormal, and in my opinion, whatever is fun, why would anybody roll their eyes at Tom DeLonge likes UFOs? If he's enjoying himself, he's not hurting anybody, and he's getting something out of it. And in a lot of cases, you're making breakthroughs. I say more power to you, Tom.
Oh my God, I got the U.S. Navy to admit they're real. I mean, they admitted it with my name. You know, they mentioned me, the videos that I brought out, the first declassified videos ever in U.S. history. They said it's real. I've been involved in the briefings. I know the head of the program in the United States government. We've been invited onto the military bases to meet with the intelligence community for in Italy. That was on our show. And meet with their program and what they're doing about it. We got in. Well, I can't say some other stuff, but like this is very real. I mean, this is as real as this phone that I'm holding. You know, what the people might roll their eyes, but that's just ignorance. They just don't know. You know, and they haven't seen what I've seen. They haven't been briefed on what I've been briefed on. They're not partnered with the people that ran the program for the U.S. government. I mean, he works for me. So you know, so for people to think it's like weird, it's like, I look at them and go, dude, I don't have time for that. I mean,
Exactly.
If you don't like the fact that we have material that we're in a defense contract with the U.S. government on, and if you don't like the fact that the U.S. Navy said it was real, and if you don't want to deal with the 70 years of reports and people coming out and saying this is real, and then you don't want to, you don't want to accept the videos, the actual videos of these craft performing, things that we have no technology that can do. I mean, there's nothing else you can do at that point. You just got to let people be whatever,
Yep, exactly. You want to talk about All That's Left Is Love?
Yeah, I do. So we did this song, and
was it done before?
Yeah, it was.
It was finished before all this.
The music, just not the vocal take. So I just had to sing it. And so right before I went in to sing it, we weren't doing anything because the quarantine measures that everyone was adhering to. But I just thought, I was like, you know what, if I just change the words a little bit, this might be something more relevant.
Yep.
And we could raise some money and maybe lift some spirits. But it's not like, me or one song is going to change the world. But I think this is what artists are supposed to do right now. If enough artists put out something that feels good and lifts people up, then you have kind of a mass effect, something that's more like mass consciousness, energy, and changing the way things are. They do this really cool experiment called the double slit experiment, where they were firing photons through basically a piece of paper, and they would two little slits, and one photon would go through either each slit or whatever, and it would collect it on the back of the behind the paper, like on a receptor, a receiving board of some kind. Well, what they learned was, depending on which slit the operator was thinking about is where the photon went through, the left one or the right one. It was just thought, so it led to all this discovery, scientific discovery, that thought matters to the material world. Everything exists as a wave of probability. So depending on how you think is going to affect everything around you. So in a time like this, everybody is scared and anxiety and fearful, but then it's starting to like really feed, the consciousness of the world, and that's really what inspired me. It's like, man, we got to start thinking differently, because you're only your thoughts.
Yep.
But people think that's just like, okay, your mind creates consciousness, and it's just like this weird anomaly we don't understand. I totally disagree with that. So the physicist that I was describing at my company created the psychic spy program for the CIA, and they came up with a protocol through a very strict way of meditating and pulling out information out of consciousness, past, present, and future. They were able to find kidnapped civilians. They were able to find nuclear missile facilities. They were able to they even did a test where they won like 300 grand in the stock market just to show it works with anything.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but it just boils down to your thoughts matter. And it's not that your mind creates consciousness. Consciousness exists, and your mind is just like a radio receiver, And that's why they always say it's good to calm down and meditate. That's why they always say it's like, why does, people in this particular religion have these accounts where they prayed for somebody and healed the blind? You're, oh my God, there's a God. But then all of a sudden you go to like some other country and they're like monks that are meditating in a completely different religion, but somehow they can lift off the ground or walk on coals or do something crazy and heal someone over there. And you're like, well, if they're not Christians, how did they heal the blind?
Yeah.
Because science doesn't care what you call it, It's shutting your mind down, opening up that bandwidth, and being able to affect the world around you through that channel, And so that's really what I'm after with this song. It was like, put out something that sparks people feeling better, because it matters. It really scientifically, with physics, changes things. So that's what inspires me.
One of the comments that was scrolling by as you were talking was, wow, so we really are more connected than we think we are. And that's exactly what you're saying.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like your physical body is just animated by some form of energy that we like to call a soul or something. But it's you are literally just a radio receiver, and we're all tuned into the same station. Another experiment they did that was really cool. This guy in Japan was taking these little petri dishes of water, and he would write down words with a pencil. Like he would write down war, hate, murder, rape, or something, and he would tape those on one. Then he would write down love, happiness, children, and write that, rip the paper, tape it on the other petri dishes. And when you freeze the water under the microscope, the ones that was like murder and hate, just a pencil writing on a word and taping it, under the microscope, that water froze to be this gross gelatinous blob. But the other ones where you wrote down like love, happiness, when you look under the microscope, the water formed beautiful, beautiful symmetrical snow crystals, like shit that you would only see like drawn in some computer program, like gorgeous. And all that is intention. It's the fact that physical matter will map up and echo what you think, what you believe, what you want. But it's not instant. It's not like, you put a pot of water on a fire and it boils instantly. It takes a little bit of time to affect all the water in the pot. So I just, that's the kind of stuff that I'm into. That's why I started the company. That's what I hope to teach people over time. And I still need to learn quite a lot, obviously. But, this is what inspires me to create the art that I do.
And that's what you're putting out in the world with All That's Left Is Love.
That's exactly it,
That's your piece of paper in the petri dish right there.
Well, it's funny. My last record, actually, this one, it says Love. I wrote it this way because of that experiment. So we did a double album in a movie called Love, and it was all about consciousness and connection. And I literally wrote out and called it Love for that reason, because right when you look at that word, it's written in a weird esoteric way, and you know what the word means, or at least it means something good to everybody. So it created like millions of people sending a good energy towards a project that was all about bringing people together, So I've already like started enacting some of these things that I believe in. And what's funny is this album and this logo is by far the biggest seller, 10 years after. It hasn't been 10 years, but it's been many years since I've done that project, probably like 7 or 8 years. And it's still the biggest thing we've done. It just really worked and for that reason.
Obviously, the lyrics are very timely, but I will tell you, as a non-musician, what really connects with me, what's really energizing me, is that guitar change from the beginning of the song when it kicks in. I love that guitar, that little riff that you do just before you bring in with your second vocal. Can you tell me anything about that? Because like I'm literally getting chills just thinking about it right now.
You're really kind. I appreciate that. That's awesome that you even notice moments like that. I mean, as a musician, you're always just trying to write a good song, but as a punk rocker, you're always trying to write something that has impact. I've always liked dynamics in bands. It was really interesting. When punks first started, it was really about how do we create a vehicle to express ourselves. And if anyone was too good at their instrument, you got suspicious. You were like, okay, guy, you took lessons. You're not a real punker. You're not here to complain about shit. You're here to like do solos. But after a while, punk bands got pretty good. The Police got pretty fucking good. U2 got pretty fucking good. Same with The Cure. They went from Boys Don't Cry all the way up to the big shit that everyone knows that The Cure would do, like Just Like Heaven and all that other stuff. So punk started blending into other genres and learning some more emotional dynamics rather than just be kind of pissed or be offensive. We started playing with like, these big like choruses or small parts and just emotions. And so then that became the emo movement, and everyone made fun of the emo kind of thing because it was a funny name. But really it symbolized a lot of punk rock bands trying to play with the emotions within the architecture of the music itself, as well as just the lyrical content. Well, what you're describing is something I learned I learned to do fairly well on a record that I did with Travis Barker and Blink. It was a band called Boxcar Racer. It's just like a side project that did exceptionally well, and it's just one record, but we really played with those dynamics a lot, and I loved it. I love the impact of those moments, and I try to do that as much as I can, as much as it makes sense. but rarely do I create a song where something comes in so big out of nowhere. But we did it a lot on the Voxcar record. So I appreciate you pointing to that. Because every once in a while you do something and it's cool. You're like, wow, that's cool. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
think
dig that. Yeah, I dig that I did that. Yeah. Let's talk a little timetable before I let you go. We were supposed to have you in DC for a show at the 930 Club. You had to cancel due to a upper respiratory infection. Looking back, and I don't want you to speculate on your health if you're not comfortable. Could that have been what we're going through right now?
I don't think so, because I didn't have the issues breathing. I didn't have the fevers. Mm-hmm. I basically got really sick in the fall on tour. Like I was, and that wasn't even like the COVID symptoms or anything, but I got a super bad kind of respiratory infection that lingered, and I couldn't crack it, and took like the wrong antibiotics and stuff, and so it just lasted so much longer. Barely got me good enough for December, and we did a December run for like 2 weeks, and I was able to complete that, and it was snowing and freezing everywhere we went, so my body just crashed again. Coming into January. And so by the time we were supposed to go right back out again, I was like, I'm not 100% yet. And I can't sing that well because my lungs were still like kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And when you're, and being, the way I carry this band, it is very much still kind of like an edgy punk band in its delivery. And to sing for a couple hours that I do every night, it's very different than Blink. I mean, I only have to do half the songs, and honestly, it didn't matter if we sang or not, as long as we had good dick jokes. It was like, it was good. But with Angels, I gotta do a little bit different of a job, and I just didn't think I could pull that off. So, but I'm better now. So
okay, great. Which leads to the next question, and that's the one that's been coming up the most in this chat scroll is, when can we expect something a little greater than a song here and a song there from Angels?
Oh my gosh! So the record is just about done. I'm kind of we have almost the whole thing laid out, but it's been going so well that I'm going to add a couple more songs.
Wow!
Since we can't tour right now, it's just like, why not? I just wrote a song over the past 2 days. That's the best song on the record. And I was like, I just came out of nowhere, so that really inspires you. You're like, well, I really gotta keep doing this. I'm just on the more kind of more of an amazing run with the creation of this record than I've been with any album ever in my career. So I feel like this is I feel like this is the pinnacle of my songwriting career, what's on this record. So I'm
Does
really
it even
excited.
have a name yet, or is it still so new you haven't named it yet?
It does, but we just haven't. Are you talking about the song or the album?
The song.
It does, but I can't. It's probably going to be the first or second single, so I got to think that through and make sure we don't just let it out of the bag just right away. But yeah, we're ready. So the more substantial launch is really just is figuring out what time this year we do it because of everything that's going on. But I can see us putting out the first videos and singles in the fall. I can see that happening.
Okay.
We would have done it earlier, but I just think it makes much sense because we can't tour. So
exactly.
But I will say that this is like I am so like tripping on this album. Like this is everything I wanted Angels and Airwaves to be, and it's 13 years later. I'm more comfortable in my skin now than I've ever been. Much more humorous. The shows were really funny. I've kind of brought back like all the humor that I think people loved about Blink. I kind of refound that in myself, and somehow it's made its way into the Angel shows, where like the middle half hour of the whole set is just like really ridiculous dick jokes and stuff. And I don't know how it works, but it at least I'm being myself. I'm just as God made me. I'm just as God made me.
And that's all you can be.
That's all I can be,
Well, dude, All That's Left Is Love is great. Kiss and Tell was great. So if you're telling me the stuff that you've done even after that we haven't heard yet is some of the best stuff that you've ever done, it just gets me, and I know all Angels and Airwaves fans really excited to hear this album, which you're hopeful is it will be the fall.
Yeah, and I thank you for saying that. Like the All That's Left Is Love wasn't a single. It wasn't like, everyone's like, I only say that it is a single song, but it's like we were not actively working it as like the big single of the record. It was like do something for the pandemic. But I can say unequivocally, yes, like the rest of the record is infinitely even better, so I'm excited. Kiss and Tell wasn't a single either. That was just something to put out because it was done, and we thought that it would just be something out there to chew on until we drop the real single on the album after Rebel Girl, which was the first one. But so we basically put out 2 songs that aren't meant to be singles at all. They were just meant to be in the public kind of domain until we launched the album. But the response to it has been overwhelmingly good. So I'm really happy. And you never know. You put something out there, like, people are gonna hate this shit. You know, what do they feel? So
exactly. Well, I appreciate you being so generous with your time. Do you want to take a second to talk about Feeding America, which is the proceeds of All That's Left of Love will go to Feeding America? Why did you guys choose them as the charity to donate the proceeds to?
Well, we have a lot of strong connections to the San Diego chapter of Feeding America. So I've done a lot of stuff down here where we've donated things for auctions, or I've handed out food to families that are kind of impoverished or underprivileged kids at schools and all that kind of stuff. So I've done a handful of things with them already. One of the big things, as you know, that's happening is a lot of kids only get the only meal a day they get that's warm is at school. And school's out, you know, and now families are losing their jobs, and food is like, I mean, just getting your basics is difficult for so many people. So it was super simple to say, let's do it with them. I mean, that's like, they're doing this already. They're feeding millions and millions of Americans each week. The problem is there's a lot of other countries, like third world countries and stuff, that need help too. But so I wish I can do it all, but at least here's an organization I know that would want to work with me, that can get up and running right away, and we can plug into their system, and it's doing a lot of good for people. So and then the label was so kind to donate every dollar made from the song, 100% of it, to the COVID response fund of Feeding America. I'm supposed to say that for some weird reason. I'm not quite sure, but it's a good deal.
Feedingamerica.org if you want to make a donation. If you want to buy the song Angels and Airwaves, All That's Left Is Love, just know, as Tom said, the proceeds will go to Feeding America. Dude, that balcony is pretty spectacular, so enjoy it.
Yeah, I got a nice little view over here somewhere.
It's fantastic. Hopefully your kid's making some great music on the synth in the house. And thank you for giving us some time, Tom DeLonge. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I love the interview, and I love DC. I can't wait to get out there. And I just want to throw this out there. Yeah. You guys got rid of Bryce Harper and still went all the way. I mean, it's like, you know, this dude goes and they pay him $350 million, and then they won without him. I mean, that's got to feel good.
That's got to feel good, except for this, Tom. I'm born and raised in Philadelphia.
Oh, so you got that bill. Do they make you pay for Bryce? Does everybody from Philly have to pay part of his salary?
Anybody who ever lived in Philadelphia has to pay $1 to go to Bryce's salary. You're paying the same thing for Manny in San Diego.
Hey, I'm not going to talk bad about Manny because he's on my team, but Tatis, we got this young kid.
Oh, he's great.
Dude, he's so fucking good.
He's so good.
He's probably like $500,000 a year or something, or $300,000
for now, and then he'll be $400 million in a couple of years.
Yeah, I know, and then I'll be paying that $1. Yeah.
Next time you're in DC, we're gonna talk baseball, my friend.
Oh, I love baseball. That's the saddest thing right now. It's like
we're losing it all.
Oh God, I mean that's the one thing. Like I would be at Petco Park, which is the San Diego Padres, every day right now if I could. So, but there's no games, so we'll see.
You're feeling like all Angels fans are feeling that they can't come to your shows. It's like this. It's music and sports. That's what we live on, and it's been taken away from us.
It's true. It's kind of true. Like sports in the summer, and then shows on the weekend nights and stuff.
That's what you do. That's what summer's all about.
I know that, and you know what I did get though? I got a bike. I went bike. I'm like trying to get a little bit healthier. So that's a new thing. I got a bike. I have motorcycles, so these are a little bit harder than that.
A little bit harder.
Put in some effort on this. But that's I'm doing my own sport, my friend. But I'm not wearing spandex and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So you know, I want to be clear that I wear sweatpants and a hat. I'm not wearing spandex shirt, shave my legs, all that kind of shit.
Not doing that yet. Now listen, Tom. Over your shoulder, there are mountains. Do not start biking up in the mountains until you've got that cardio up there, all right?
I'll never go to the fucking mountains. Fuck that. Who wants to bike up a mountain? Whenever you drive by a guy biking up the mountains,
you're just like, what are you doing?
The first thing is like, Jesus Christ, man, what a sad existence. You know, the first time I got an electric bike, it was super funny. I like there's this huge hill that's on the coast over here by the beach, and all the bicyclists go up it. There's thousands of guys on 10 speeds and shit in Southern California on the Highway 101 that goes up the coast. It's a daily occurrence, especially on weekends. You can't even get by in a car. Well, this huge hill is a monster for these bicyclists that are going that direction. Well, I got my electric bike years ago, and it looks like a big kind of 10-speed mountain bike kind of thing. But this was before electric bikes were even popular. Not very many people knew what they were. They were out. And I remember I'd go to that hill, and I would just have my hands off, and I'm just like going straight up, attacking all these guys, pedaling like it's no big deal. And they would all be looking, and they're dying. I mean, they're sweating, and they're pumping, and they're standing up. And I just come up, sitting down with my arms off the thing, like, oh.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my style.
That's why I would do it as well, man.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. Have a great evening or have a great rest of your day, and thank you for the time. We appreciate it. And remember, baseball, when you come to DC, we're having a conversation.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Bye.